Yo, have you heard about Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast, Dragon Ball edition. Today, we are going over the first chapter in 2021, Dragon Ball Super Chapter 68. And we have Mitch Osso with us here with us today. How you doing today, sir?
All doing fantastic as always. How about yourself, my man?
I'm doing good. Anytime anything Dragon Ball related comes out, it can't be too terrible a day.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
this is our first chapter review of 2021, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's a new arc too. I mean, again, we've said it for 2 years. We have the moral arc, so we finally have a new arc going into 2021. It's called Chapter 68, Granolah the Survivor. And Mitch, why don't you just hit on the chapter and some cool points, and then we'll discuss.
All right, let's do it. So this chapter, whenever I was looking at it, it's actually kind of broken down into 3 sections, which kind of actually made it easier just to kind of absorb some information as we go back and forth between stuff. The first section has to deal with Granolah, and it turns out that Granolah is actually asleep. We see this a little bit into his section, but he's asleep and he's dreaming of his past. And you see a little bit of history of what happened in his past on his planet. You see his civilization is being decimated by the Frieza force and the saiyans. There is a full moon in the background, and well, lo and behold, there's 3 great apes walking around, just causing mayhem, of course. And you see the carnage in which the Frieza force and the saiyans have done. You see people lying around dead and just total destruction. And one of the pans you see here, someone is running what appears to be a building, kind of looks like a church, and just trying to take cover. They get into the church, and there's a big hole in the roof, and we see a great ape in the distance, in the rubble, the smoke of the rubble, and then it moves closer and closer to the church to investigate. And then all of a sudden, it kind of disappears from view, and then bam, it pops up with its head, the great ape with its head right in the roof, the hole in the roof, and so that's part of his history. I imagine we'll get more and more history on that. A little bit that we're all mentioning is that on the great ape's left cheek is a scar, which the only great ape that we have ever known to have a scar on its left cheek is Bardock. So without actual written words, this is Bardock, we can basically claim that this is Bardock destroying the planet, which, nice little connection there to probably what's to come. And we'll dive into that little section here once I complete this up. So Granolah wakes up from his nightmare. And he's just, how you are. If you ever wake up from a nightmare, you're just getting your composure. And then his assistant, which I'm not sure if it's an actual person or if it's an AI on a ship named Oatmeal, is asking him what's wrong. And he's talking about, I want to get my revenge over Frieza and the Saiyans, but Frieza died. And the Saiyans, their planet got hit by a meteor. He doesn't know, obviously, that Frieza killed everybody. And yeah, he's just wondering why is he still having his dreams and he can't get his revenge. So And that's the end of that little first section. And some points, like I said, Bardock is probably going to be involved here. Maybe we'll see a little bit more in another chapter as to how he escaped from the church and so on and so forth. And yeah, that's that part. Second part shifts over to Goku and Vegeta on Beerus's planet, and it shows Goku and Whis are actually trying to capture the Oracle fish because the fish is having issues sleeping, suffering from insomnia. Direct quote. And Whis has a syringe and a needle to inject. They say vitamins. So I guess vitamins are the way to cure insomnia with Oracle fish is, yeah. But don't know if that's actual medical like approved, but hey, it's Dragon Ball. Vegeta is kind of in shock that the fish can get insomnia. And Whis notes that this happens every so often. But when this occurs, usually what it means is that there is a bad omen for the future. But Whis then goes on to say, and sometimes it's nothing. So really doesn't like set us up for anything. We know it does. Obviously, that's how this chapter or this arc is going to progress. But it's like, why would you say sometimes it's nothing? But oh well, I digress. And Goku is getting excited about potentially a new fighter coming around. Vegeta and Beerus are like, "Are you serious? Like you're an idiot? Why? Seriously?" So on and so forth. Then the section then starts getting a little more actually interesting with Goku and Whis sparring off. Goku going into Ultra Instinct, mastered Ultra Instinct at will, and Whis and him go back and forth fighting, and Goku he uses a multi-form technique while in Ultra Instinct to try to get the best of Whis, and Whis has absolutely no issue in dispatching Goku and his copies, and Whis states to Goku that in the chapter here he states that essentially, and I'm going to paraphrase, or not really paraphrase, I'm just going to create my own terms for this, is that Ultra Instinct now has different tiers. So I guess, as I thought of earlier, this is how they nerf Ultra Instinct, because we always considered it to be the end of everything. If you go Mastered Ultra Instinct, you're going to win. But now they've kind of reality checked us, and this is what basically Whis says, and that is he has greater command over his Ultra Instinct than what Beerus did, and in turn the Grand Priest has more accuracy and command over his Ultra Instinct. And then Goku realizes that that must mean that he is, like, as he says, bottom of the ladder. So he's just, scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of this pecking order. Now, Whis says, well, that just gives you an opportunity to train and grow. And of course, Goku gets excited. And now, my part that I'm actually starting to like here a little bit more that I wasn't expecting was the dialogue between Beerus and Vegeta as they watch Goku and Whis fight. And as they're observing, Beerus asks Vegeta if he's ever going to try to learn Ultra Instinct. And Vegeta says it doesn't suit him. He'll find another way to surpass Kakarot, Goku. And Beerus kind of just shrugs off and agrees with him. And he asks that it might actually, or says it might be possible to do so because Ultra Instinct is not the only technique of the gods. This instantly perks Vegeta's ears, and Beerus makes the remark that, do you really think gods of destruction are going to use a technique where you have to keep your heart all calm and tranquil? He makes a fair point. And so Beerus has another technique, and Vegeta asks if he can show it to him, and Beerus says, no, training's not my job. And Beerus walks away, and he says, I'm going to go exercise to wake myself up. And then he looks right back at Vegeta and says, if you see anything you want, feel free to steal it. So, it's kind of like he's not going to train him, but if Vegeta sees the technique or techniques being used, feel free to learn it yourself. I kind of like this dynamic between the mentorship that's going to start growing between Beerus and the apprenticeship with Vegeta, because it makes sense that Whis is willing to teach Goku, because Goku is willing to teach anyone else. It's just kind of how they are. Vegeta, a little more isolated. He's more by himself. That's how he trained, in a hyperbolic time chamber with Trunks. He doesn't really want to be with anyone. He just wants to do it by himself, on his own. Makes sense. Beerus doesn't really want to train him, but he also is kind of, down to help, but Vegeta's on his own. So I like it. I think it's pretty cool, and I'm excited to see what happens there. And then the last section will actually take us back to Granolah. So again, he's transferring the original 7-3 that he stole from the other guys in the previous chapter, and he arrives at his destination for who he is going to deliver 7-3 to. He's walking into this castle that's like on this asteroid, and I'm going to kind of just cut this one a little short. He finds one of his fellow, I don't know what word I want to use here, bounty hunters. That's the word I'm looking for. And he's talking to Granolah, and he's like, "Hey, is this 7-3? This is what his name is Alec. Alec, E-L-E-C, Alec, has been asking for. How in the world you do it?" And then Granola's kind of ignoring him, and the guy, he says, "Hey, let's split the earnings." And Granolah just says no, and then Granolah walks in, and he finds the head of this. I don't want to say a gang. I can't think of this organization that these people are a part of. But Elec is sitting there on his throne, and he has 3 henchmen with him, and he pulls up 7-3. They examine. It's 7-3, and he gets paid. So one of the henchmen's name is Oil, and he's just a big old tub of lard. Kind of reminds me of Dodoria. So we'll see if he's actually smart. He doesn't come across as stupid, but just kind of probably how it is. The other 2, one is a female character. I'm not 100% sure of her name, and then there's another one, and I'll come back to what their names are though as I describe the remainder of the chapter here. And as they're talking about 7-3, Granola's like, "Why do you want this? Are you going to create an army of 7-3s?" And Elec's like, "No, the race that apparently they are is called Heaters, Heeters. Apparently, they must be some sort of just mob gang, but I don't know if that's their race or maybe that's just, their group. But they say that there's 2 things in the universe that you need to be all powerful, and that is money and intel. And they apparently have all the money that they ever need, whatnot. And Granola's like, "Intel," and Alex says, "Yep, Intel is exactly what is in 7-3." And that goes on to discuss then what is the next job that Granolah has. And Alex says that nothing at the moment because the universe is shifting, and they're kind of just waiting because he reveals to Granolah, who again thinks that Frieza is dead, that Frieza has been revived somehow. And Granolah, completely in shock, asks how. Alex says, "Have no idea." And he's asking him, "Why? Do you have revenge? Don't try it because Frieza's back, way stronger than before, and you will lose." And Granolah says, "I'll be the judge of that. Tell me where he is." And as he approaches Elec, one of the two other henchmen come up and just put a quick beat down on Granolah, which is surprising because we saw Granolah just completely decimate a whole bunch of 7-3 like clones with ease. So henchman here is Gas. That's the name of this henchman, Gas. This Gas puts a beat down, like I said, and then Elec tells Granolah, "Hey, you just need to relax. You need to get stronger. Then you can fight Frieza, and we'll go from there." So, and he also says that he will help. So, Granolah basically agrees to it, and then he just walks off, taking his money, and as he leaves, Granolah is talking to his henchmen, and they're like, "Hey, why'd you go and mention Frieza like that?" And he says that our friend Granolah has kind of gone crazy. He's strong, and the powers are going to his head, and we'd be in hot water if he ever got stronger than Gas. So he's kind of setting Granolah up to just go and get killed by Frieza, and we'll see how that works. Gas says that he'll never be stronger than him, and well, I guess we'll see how that pans out. And the very last bit here of this section, well, kind of the important part of this section, there's still a little bit more, is that we find out what information in 7-3 that the gang is looking for, and that is they are looking for the exact location of Zuno, the ultimate intel broker. If you need a little refresher on that, Zuno is he basically the bearer of all information in the universes. He sits within, I believe, 6 universes, 6 and 7. Zamasu went to him and learned of the history of the Super Dragon Balls. Bulma also approached him and asked him questions, so he knows everything, right? And so that's where they're going to go, which opens up a door of possibilities that I guess we'll just have to find out and see. And then the chapter sort of ends. I'm going to be quick with this. That bounty hunter that was outside of Elec's castle is now going to try and rob Granolah as he's traveling away from the comet. Granolah dispatches all of the henchmen, all the other bounty hunters that came with him, and you see that Granolah took off his eyepiece that went over his right eye, and he basically was just sniping people from on top of a cliff while they were looking through his ship. We come to learn that the Cerealians, which is Granolah's race, apparently they have in their right eye very, very sharp and keen eyesight in their right eyes. And it shows this kind of sweet still shot of Granolah's face. Left eye is normal, but the right one kind of has like this Nick Fury kind of look to it, where it's just a single gray pupil. And he talks about that he was able to get rid of all the henchmen, but he missed one, and he needs to get more powerful before he makes contact with Frieza. And they're a fight that has to be coming soon. Then the very, very last 4 shots of the chapter is we look back at Beerus' planet, and the Oracle fish is sleeping, but he's dreaming, and he says the words Universe 7, balanced shifting. And then strongest warrior in the universe will soon rise up. So who knows who that strongest warrior is, if it's going to be Granolah, if it would be Elec, or somebody else. And yep, that's the chapter.
Okay. A lot for the first chapter in 2021. There's a lot of stuff to point out that you did, obviously, because you split it up in 3 parts, which I think that's the best way to talk about this chapter. It really was split up in 3 parts. I mean, first part, I guess with the ape thing, it's Bardock. I think on the wiki now they have Bardock as appearance. If you look up the wiki of this chapter, so I would be interested to see, because obviously Granolah and Goku eventually are going to meet. I would be interested to see if he saw Bardock in normal Saiyan form and he mistakes Goku for Bardock and he
Correct.
blames him for killing his family. That would be very interesting. The sins of the father going down to the son, that would be super interesting. And also this chapter confirmed what you and I talked about last year. We didn't know if it was just that one time with Moral that he could go into MUI at will, but now it's confirmed. He can go into MUI at will now. And I know that was a big thing for you, that you did not want him to be able to do that after one arc, right?
Correct. That was also under the assumption, though, that UI or MUI was the end of everything, you know. But now that they nerfed it, it's more acceptable. But it's I mean, I didn't want it. I at least probably wanted one more arc. But I mean, now UI is now a Super Saiyan transformation. So there's going to be different tiers, and when the eventual villain comes in this arc or in the future arc, they're going to have an Ultra Instinct that is way more precise, and Goku's not going to be able to use that technique to defeat them necessarily. So, yeah, that's all right though.
Yeah, I would say though, with Whis saying that there's different tiers and you did it in the form of Super Saiyan, but right now, what we've seen so far in the universe is that there's, well, in Universe 7, and I guess all say Jiren, but once he's hit MUI, he's typically the victor. So I guess going forward, if he keeps hitting the higher levels of UI, and how can you make someone like, if the way him and Jiren fought, if like Goku goes to MUI version 2, how can you give someone powers to rival that, you know?
Yeah, I think we're eventually going to get to the point. That could be wrong. They could spice it up. That MUI it's. I mean, it might not get the job done anymore, and whatever this power that Vegeta's going to learn might be what's needed.
Yeah, but that's true. I mean, it's not the be all. Well, to us, it's still the strongest transformation we've seen.
Yep, correct.
And when it's happened, he's smacked people around. So now that and it's already a new arc, we're talking about MUI might not get the job done anymore, which is crazy to think about. And then I guess the biggest thing, I think, they wrote Beerus significant. I just feel like he was written better in this chapter.
Well, they made him a character. They gave him purpose and not comedic relief or just a name to fill in a pan, you know? It's like, if he's going to teach Vegeta something, that's more involvement that he's had in general that actually had relevance, you know? Because, he was in that exhibition match with the other gods, but that's all that was just a little exhibition, stakes involved in that. But this, I mean, what he's doing could determine whether or not these guys live or die. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, because no one was expecting this. And I mean, him talking about asking Vegeta if he's going to master it, and he said, I'll surpass this signature, I'll surpass him in my own way. And then Beerus talking about Ultra Instinct isn't the only technique of God, saying they use something else and to follow him. Now, this page is getting a lot of buzz because, you know, everyone's trying to figure out what that's going to be. I've already saw some people say that it's going to be something similar to what Topo did in the Tournament of Power. But Vegeta Super Saiyan Blue Evolution was able to beat Topo in that form. So do you think it's going to be something like that? or it's going to be something completely different? Because Beerus is making it sound like it could potentially rival UI.
I think it has to be something different. Now, granted, if it is how Topo, his turn in the spotlight, unless it's kind of like Topo's God of Destruction powers are, tiered, because, you can see it here, Beerus is way more defined in his God of Destruction than what Topo is. And
as some other gods of destruction.
Correct. So Vegeta could basically copycat Topo, but he's going to be extremely more stronger than him than that. So we'll see on that. But no, I think they're going to keep it fresh. I think they're going to give us something that we were not expecting, and it's going to be fantastic that they do. Because I am liking how Super is creating distinct differences between Goku and Vegeta. Goku has his techniques, and Vegeta has different techniques that are of importance. Because all they did was, get stronger. They train, they power up, and they blast enemies with energy beams and punches. That's it. But now you have Goku who has Ultra Instinct, and you have Vegeta who is separating energy from inside of enemies who fuse together. So, and he's going to learn something else from Beerus. So, they're becoming different characters, and they'll have their own advantages and disadvantages. And it's not just, okay, Vegeta, you go fight first, you get beat up. Goku, you go fight, you get beat up, and we'll come together with a super spirit bomb and beat them, whatever it might be. You know what I mean? They're not the same character anymore, just taking turns.
Yeah, because Goku, obviously, his goal was always to learn Ultra Instinct from the Tournament of Power. So that's the path that he kept. And Vegeta's always been, he'll do something his own way, just like in the Tournament of Power, he went Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. And then in this arc, he learned the Spirit Fission and all that stuff. So now he's learned that. And he's going to potentially learn something else. And while Goku's trying to, I guess, get the tiers of Ultra Instinct. But now with those tiers, though, are you afraid that Ultra Instinct's going to be our worst fear and it's going to turn into a Super Saiyan Blue?
I hope not. I pray to God not. But they're going to keep using Ultra Instinct until Goku is almost angel level kind of, strength. But what's going to be the difference? What's really going to, what am I going to see that's different? The same hair color? Is his eyes going to go completely all white, like Psycho Broly? Visually, what am I going to see that's different other than he's just going to land punches against stronger opponents?
I mean, you made the testament to Super Saiyan. His Ultra Instinct version 2 might be like his Super Saiyan 1 hair.
Yeah, and then that's cool and all, but it's like we just recycled other ideas for Ultra Instinct, which if that's what they're doing, then I just want to sit here and be like, why didn't we just hold off? Why didn't we just keep Ultra Instinct pocket? And it was incredibly difficult for Goku to get to, and whenever it came out, we knew the game was over. But now it's like, it came out. So what happens after this fight? So how are they going to defeat this guy? So I do like, though, that Vegeta's going to learn something different, though, because now whenever we have these debates on who's stronger, Goku and Vegeta, they're going to be more subjective instead of objective, because to each their own. So
I think also too, with them learning these different things, I'm thinking way ahead already, to whatever final battle is going to happen. And if they're both losing and they're learning these different techniques, can you imagine how strong a Gogeta or Vegeta is going to be right now?
Definitely. I almost don't know if they ever fuse again. I don't know what in the world that enemy could possess, both strength or even materialistic. I don't know what that enemy could possess that would make them have to do that again. I mean, we got that from a immortal god in Zamasu and a ridiculously powerful Saiyan of legend.
You would have to think even if they fused right now with the Spirit Fishing and MUI, they would have to be God of Destruction, maybe like F class Angel, because those two fused right now in UI and all their skills, it might be dangerous.
I know our sample size is, basically 0, but it's like if there was a Vegeta or a Gogeta right now, like it's stronger than Beerus, it's stronger than Angel Mirrors,
Yeah.
and I want to know how close is it then to Whis, because I think Whis would still win that fight, but
well, you just saw what he did to MUI Goku. He beat him no difficult, which is also a crazy thing. You just MUI Goku, no big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you have a problem with? I know this is only the first chapter. Do you have a problem with already going back to the Goku and Vegeta show?
No, just because it was just this first chapter. It's still world building, and there's only 40. How many pages I got here? 47 pages. So it's like I'm fine with it for now. Because what we did was we got the world building of Goku and Vegeta on Beerus' planet, but then we were learning more about Granolah and his background. But then we were introduced to these antagonists, gas, oil, and honestly, I don't know who the fourth one is here. I bet if I looked like really deep into the dialogue here, I'd find out who the fourth one is, but just going to keep talking. And yeah, I'm fine with it for now. But I do want to see other people. Like, and let me ask you, because we have Frieza and we have Saiyans involved in the storyline, will you be disappointed or even angry if Broly does not show up?
I'll be upset if. Yeah, I feel like this is an arc. I feel like this is an arc for him, and also with the other Saiyans, obviously Gohan. I mean, Goten, Trunks, whatever, but definitely Broly, because this is an arc for him. You can really just have all the sins of the dad. Hair just did some crazy stuff to Granolah, King Vegeta. So he should be in this arc, and that was going to lead me to the reason I brought up Goku and Vegeta is because the page now with the group, and it kind of seeing 4 of them. It kind of reminds me of BoJack's group, to be honest.
Yeah, good point.
Sure. And I'm like, oh, is this the canon version of a BoJack group? And I kind of like the bounty, like it's not good for business, things like that. Take Frieza out. And the way we saw Granolah in the first chapter, last chapter of 2020, take out all those 7-3s and whatnot. And then you see Short Boy, he's Gas.
And Gas is he looks like he minus like the mouth, he looks like Alien or Predator, just kind of how the eyes are and the locks. Yeah.
I was gonna say he looks like a short Family Dollar version of
Hold on. Does he not look like a Kid Buu? Like I'm looking at, if you're looking on pages 26, if you happen to have it in front of you, does he not look like a Kid Buu looking at you?
Yeah, he does. He does. That would be very interesting in this group. I mean, just seeing that, the demonstration, like, okay, if he's strong, then the other 4 are strong. So I'm thinking that eventually Granola's going to turn on them, try and kill them, and then you're going to have this battle with those 4 because they're trying to get all the information, which I like, so that they can learn some things. Because he's right. I mean, information is very powerful in the real world and now manga. So I think that's a good goal to have. And we have a villain who is motivated by revenge, and wouldn't anyone if a certain group of people just blew up your home and killed everyone? I mean, we've seen this before with the Tuffles, and we thought potentially could have been a Tuffle, but it's the same motivation as Baby in Dragon Ball GT, except without Frieza.
Do you think? Who's going to be the final villain? Would you put your money on Elect, or would you put it on Granolah. Because I almost feel like Granolah will eventually turn good. I don't see a baby. I don't see baby in Granolah, I don't see those storylines kind of running completely parallel, at least at the end.
It will be interesting because I would say if he's fighting Goku and Vegeta, they would spare him, but Frieza would kill him.
Correct.
So, and Frieza would kill any of his companions. So I feel like that's going to be interesting too, because they're gonna is Frieza gonna die? And now we're now in 2 years. I mean, we're talking about Frieza again, so we're finally get to see what he's been really up to since the TOP. So is Frieza gonna die, or is Granolah gonna get killed by Frieza, or if Frieza's about to kill him, Goku intervenes, or they're asking the Saiyans, "How are you?" Because I'm surprised he didn't tell him that Saiyans are still alive too. Because they knew Frieza was dead, but the universe knew that Frieza was killed by a Saiyan, right?
I believe so. I'm trying to think back to anything that would tell us that the rest of the universe knows that Frieza was killed by a Saiyan.
Because I remember Vegeta when he was looking for Goku, and he was telling Frieza's army, he's like, "Yeah, he got killed by the Super Saiyan."
Oh, he
like,
did.
It's real.
You're right. Vegeta would have spread that word to mouth, so that would have to get around.
So you can almost see that as a plot hole because it's just like, okay, the Saiyans are alive. The Saiyans have been alive. If the guy knows information, he would have known that Earth, they have like 6 of them, and they've been fighting all these things. Kid Boo's fight was projected across the universe, basically. And Beerus, and then the Tournament of Power, even though most people didn't know about the Tournament of Power, but I find it hard to believe that this group, who seems very in the know of like business and things like that, wouldn't know that there's Saiyans running around. But what we've seen is that these people are just popping out the woodworks now in Universe 7 after we said there's no one strong.
There is one thing, though, and that is these guys don't know about the Dragon Balls because they don't know how Frieza got revived. So,
well, they're about to find
out.
Yeah,
they're about to find out everything. I bet they'll even find a weakness to for like the gods, or they'll find an Ultra Instinct weakness. They'll find some sort of information that Zuno must possess.
Would information about Ultra Instinct and stuff be in the OG 7-3 when they're looking through his
I think it should be, because
I mean they could utilize that. Because the way I'm seeing it is that there's 4 of them in Granolah. Frieza's fighting 1. Goku's gonna fight 1 or 2. Vegeta's fighting 1. Broly fights anyone who's left. Like you just have one of those type of fight things. So it's like this. It's like the Saiyans and Frieza versus Granolah in the group.
I think I want to see if I have to pit here between if I have to think here, here's my dream matchups right now. Just looking at these people, Granolah and Frieza. I want to see Oil, the big dude. I want to see him versus Broly. I want to see 2 big dudes just go at. Then Gas and whoever this female is, they seem like they would be like a tag team kind of. They seem like they'd be a tag team duo. And I think I'd almost want to see Goku, Ultra Instinct, deal with 2 people at once. I think that would be sweet. And then Elec here, go up against Vegeta and whatever Vegeta's new power will be. And I assume he's going to get a power up whenever he talks to Zuno and learns something. I think that'd be sweet. It's not going to happen, but fun.
Going even further with predictions with this arc, which could finally mix something from previous things of Super. What if they find out from Zuno that there's a whole living crop of Saiyans in a different universe?
Oh, in Universe 6?
And Granolah wants to exterminate all, like the movie plan to exterminate all Saiyans, and he just wants Saiyans gone from any universe. And he starts going over there, and then you have a inter-universal thing with Universe 6 and 7 teaming up against
that'd be funny. He'd go after Frost then too. But
yep.
I don't think Universe 6 is going to get involved, only because, and I say this just off of this chapter, and that is the Oracle Fish is talking about the balance in Universe 7 is shifting. So
That's
since
true.
they're kind of keeping that direction, I'm just not sure that they'll focus any on 6. But maybe next arc. But maybe this arc. I guess.
Yeah, it is only the first chapter. Are you liking the start of this?
I like the start of this. I like how it's continued from the previous arc. There was a nice transition, and there was back in Z, Raditz flowed into the Vegeta arc, and then Vegeta flowed into the Frieza arc almost seamlessly. So I like that. I see a little bit of that here. I think it's doing pretty good. I think Super is getting better. That's what it's better structured than what it was whenever it was starting off.
Yeah, there was a couple of these pages made me very excited for what this is gonna be and how we're gonna move forward. I don't know if I'm more excited about. I think I'm more excited about Beerus getting involved with Vegeta, but also getting Frieza back in the mix. I mean, the guy is the greatest villain your show's ever had, and now you're about to have him, and he's still a villain because this guy hates him. So it's like, I don't even know if, like, theoretically, when they're fighting, if Goku Vegeta could fault him for hating Frieza, because I mean they've had their own issues with him. So I'm excited. Mitch, is there anything else you want to talk about this chapter?
One last thing, and it is just funny because I just observed it. So page number, where is it? Let me look here. One of the first pages here. Page number 20. No, not 20. Good Lord. Page 8, right? Page 8, when Whis is sticking the Oracle Fish with a syringe needle of vitamins. And yes, I am aware that this never happened in the manga, but it did happen in the anime. And we can have a discussion as to what is canon. Personally, I'm a little bit of bias, and if Toriyama had his fingers on it, then it's kind of canon to me. Now, granted, I understand that GT is not considered canon, but hey, they keep putting it in video games and they keep taking the money out of your wallet for it. So maybe it is a little bit of a scam. But anyways, regardless, where I want to make my observation here is that Goku and his fear of needles apparently has been forgotten, because for a guy that freaks out in hospitals after Vegeta leaves Earth the first time whenever the doctor brings in a syringe needle full of pain meds, Goku really didn't freak out when we shoved the needle 1 inch away from Goku's hand into the Oracle Fish. So, if there's anything that I can sit here and be like, yep, we screwed that up as well. That's that.
Yeah, probably. I think I've learned that fans keep up with more of the canon stuff than the creators.
And that's kind of fair. I mean, we dive into this. They are trying to figure out what to do next. So, I mean, we can sit here and push the rewind button all the time, whereas they have to try to figure out how to fast forward. So, yeah, no, not a huge thing, but I actually did sit here and pause, and I'm like, so where's Goku's reaction? He is perfectly content with this with this needle.
You even want to go back to that when Beerus is there talking about there's other things of the gods, and I'm just like, well, there's other things of the gods. Why'd you guys make it? I mean, you guys are acting like Goku was like beyond you guys when he got Ultra Instinct against Jiren. So it's like, where was this at? Like, and now I was like, so is this only the gods of destruction, or is this the Kaioshins too? Because it's like the Supreme Kylo and whatever this is about to be. Like, where's this been the whole Battle of Dark, like, since Super started? Like, we're just pulling this out of a rabbit now, a rabbit out of a hat. But we'll see. I'm excited.
Nope, that is it for today for me.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Thank you, Mitch, for being on, talking about the chapter, reviewing it, giving your thoughts. And hopefully next chapter hits February 19th. We have more going into the story, and it's a new era of Dragon
Yep.
Ball.
Hopefully everything continues in the right direction. And like you said, I'm excited as well.
Right. And with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast.
Yep. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.